Hello and welcome. Today we are going to dive into something pretty fundamental, what it actually means to be alive. We're talking about the engine that powers every single one of our cells. So let's get right into it and see what's really running the show. You've probably heard this famous Bollywood line, right? To stay alive, you just need one meeting with your beloved. It's a sweet thought for sure, but from a purely scientific point of view, it's a little more complicated than that. So let's put the romance aside for a second. What are the absolute non-negotiable processes that just have to happen for any of us to be here? Well, the answer really boils down to just one number: 4. That's right. There are 4 essential life processes. Think of them as the pillars that hold up the entire building of life: nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion. If you take away even one of these, the whole thing just collapses. For today, we're going to tackle the first 2. So let's start with that first pillar, nutrition. This is all about how living things get the fuel they need to keep the lights on. So what is nutrition, really? Well, it's the whole process of getting food and this is the key part, actually using it. See, it's not just about eating. It's about how your body uses that food for energy, for growth, and for all kinds of repairs. What's really cool here is that this basically splits all life on Earth into 2 major camps. First, you've got the autotrophs, the self-feeders. These are the master chefs of the biological world. Think plants and algae. They whip up their own meals from scratch using basic ingredients like sunlight, CO2, and water. And then there's the rest of us, the heterotrophs, or other feeders. That's you and me. We can't cook for ourselves in that way, so we're basically ordering takeout from the plants and other animals around us. And even within our other feeder club, there are different styles. Holozoic is what we do. We eat complex food, and our body breaks it down internally. Then you have saprophytes, which are kind of like nature's cleanup crew. Think fungi and mushrooms. They feed on dead and decaying things. And finally, there are parasites, which live on or inside another organism, and, well, they just steal their meals. All right, so since we're the Holozoic type, let's follow a bite of food on its pretty incredible journey through our own personal food processing factory. The trip begins in the mouth, obviously. Teeth get to work crushing, and an enzyme in your saliva called amylase immediately starts breaking down starches. From there, it's pushed down the esophagus by these cool muscular waves. Next stop, the stomach, where hydrochloric acid creates this intense acidic bath to kill any germs, and an enzyme called pepsin starts digesting proteins. But the real magic happens in the small intestine. This is where digestion is truly completed. After that, the large intestine's job is to absorb any leftover water, and finally, what's left is expelled. So you might be wondering, how does the body actually absorb all the good stuff in the small intestine? Well, the secret is these amazing things called villi. They're these tiny, finger-like folds that create a massive surface area, which is perfect for grabbing as many nutrients as possible. It's just a brilliant piece of biological design. Okay, so pillar 1, nutrition, check. We've got the fuel. Now for pillar 2, respiration. This is how we actually use that fuel. But first, let's clear up a huge misconception right off the bat. Most of us, we use the words respiration and breathing like they're the same thing. But are they really? No, not at all. Breathing is a physical process. It's literally just the act of moving air in and out of your lungs. But respiration? Oh, that's a biochemical process that happens inside every single one of your cells. And here's the absolute key difference. Breathing actually uses a little bit of energy. Respiration releases a whole lot of it. So this is what we really mean by respiration. It's all about breaking down that glucose, the fuel we got from nutrition, to unlock the chemical energy stored inside it. That energy gets captured in a special molecule called ATP. You can think of ATP as the universal energy currency for all life. It's like the rechargeable battery that powers literally everything your cells do. So, how does a cell actually crack open a glucose molecule to get that sweet, sweet ATP? Well, it turns out there's more than one way to do it. No matter which pathway we're talking about, the journey always starts in the same place, the cell's cytoplasm. Here, one big 6-carbon glucose molecule gets split right down the middle, creating 2 smaller 3-carbon molecules called pyruvate. And what happens next depends entirely on one thing: whether or not oxygen is available. And that brings us to the 3 possible fates of that pyruvate.
First, you have the best case scenario. If oxygen is present, we get aerobic respiration inside the mitochondria, and that releases a ton of energy. But what if there's no oxygen? Well, in something like yeast, it goes through fermentation, producing ethanol and just a little bit of energy. And what's really fascinating is that in our own muscle cells, when they're starved for oxygen, they create lactic acid, and again, just a tiny bit of energy.
And you have absolutely felt this before. You know that burning sensation or the soreness you get in your muscles after a really intense workout? That's the buildup of lactic acid. It's a direct result of your muscle cells having to switch over to this emergency anaerobic respiration because you just couldn't supply them with oxygen fast enough. And the difference in the energy payoff is just staggering. I mean, look at this. Aerobic respiration, the one that uses oxygen, gives you so much more energy than the anaerobic paths. It's not even a close contest. So, this all leads to a really important question. How do big, complex creatures like us get that precious oxygen to trillions of different cells to get that maximum energy payout? The answer is an amazingly efficient delivery service, a protein in our red blood cells called hemoglobin. It acts like a dedicated oxygen taxi. In fact, a single red blood cell can carry about 1 billion molecules of oxygen. So let's wrap our heads around this. We've talked about how we load the fuel into the system through nutrition and how we turn the engine on with respiration. But that leaves a pretty big question, right? How does the fuel get from the processing plant to the engine, and how does the whole system manage all the waste and exhaust? Well, that's where our other two pillars, transportation and excretion, come into play, and we'll get into those next time.